and welcome to another episode of Control Alt Defend. My name is Dirk Prinsloo, and today is going to be our second demo of Microsoft Entra Suite. So in today's demo, we're going to be talking about two particular things. We're going to be talking a bit about the employee onboarding experience, very similar to what we've did in our previous demo, but we're also going to be weaving in some of the Entra private access in terms of how we can also assign permissions to internal resources without the need of a VPN. All right, so without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So first of all, we see Microsoft Entra here, and the first thing that we're going to be simulating, or doing at least in this case, is we're going to be making sure that all our configuration for the Global Secure Access client is configured correctly. So here in Global Secure Access, we're going to click on Connect, and then we are also going to be clicking on the traffic forwarding. And this is just going to show us that our two profiles have been activated or enabled, which is going to be private access and internet access. Stick around for our third demo when we're doing internet access. Today's demo is just going to be focusing on private access, but nonetheless, we can confirm they're all sorted here. We also just want to validate our connectors are all configured correctly. Now, connectors are basically lightweight agents that sits on a server in a private network and basically facilitates the outbound connection to the Global Secure Access service. So our administrators have already set that up. We can see that's confirmed here. We can also then configure internal applications or resources to make use of this connector, right? So we can go and configure an application. And using this form, administrators can configure per app access to internal resources. Now let's take a closer look, because we do have some already configured. So I'm going to go back here into applications, enterprise applications, and we can see for Contoso here, we have two resources already created. We have a file server by the looks of it and some internal built application. Let's take a closer look in terms of what they are. So when I click on file server, we can see that there's an actual link pointing to a file share that's hosted in an on-premise server, and we can confirm the network access properties by going to network access properties, and we can verify here that there are some properties already configured, segments that include potentially a fully qualified domain name, IP address or port number, everything that we're going to be needing to point internal, and that will be exposed, over Global Secure Access. If I take a look at the other one, our Contoso Financial Dashboard, this seems to me, if I go to Network Access Properties on this one, seems like there's some URL here with port 443, obviously. Maybe an internal dashboard site running on IIS, I don't know, something. But yeah, it's already configured to make use of that connector. So what we want to do now is we want to make sure our demonstration here is going to be focusing on a new employee who's going to get access to our environment, but also access to these private internal hosted resources, right? The file share and that dashboard application. So there's a few things in identity governance that we need to go and set up and confirm. The first one is entitle management. So our focus here is going to be on providing this new person who's joining our finance team with the correct resources. So the first thing that we need to specify in identity governance to make use of that is our catalogs. Now, catalogs is basically a whole range of resources that could potentially, remember, it could potentially be used in an access package. So if you remember in our first demo, we already had the access package. I'm kind of just stepping one back saying, we have Contoso or catalogs here. And you'll notice if I go into the finance app catalog and then click on resources, I see about 6 items here that can potentially be used in access packages when it comes to finance, right? But we can also go and confirm if there are any access packages that are making use of things in this catalog. So I click on access packages and hey, yes, there are. There's our previous one we did in the previous demo. I want to focus on this one here, right? So let's go into this access package and let's confirm what kind of access or resources have been provided in this one. So remember, there were 6 in the catalog. In this particular access package, only 4 of those 6 have been selected. So we have, again, a security group. We have that application, the 2 applications, And we also have a website. In this case, members, right? If you watched our first demo, you remember the guest was only going to be given visitor access or read access. In this case, it is internal, and this new finance person joining Contoso must have member access, or be able to change things on that particular SharePoint site. So there are 4 things here. There could be other things. If you do have an Entra Suite license, or at least an ID governance license, you can also add other things. For example, you can have privileged roles, for example. So if an administrator joins, that could also be presented in. But in our case, we're going to keep it simple, right? We've got a group, 2 applications, and a SharePoint site. What's really great here is the next part, the lifecycle workflows. Now, this is where we talk about the whole joiner, mover, leaver processes of people, as they come and go within inside of the organization. We can have workflows that do certain things. And in our case, we do have a few here, but pay attention. We've got a new hire employee workflow here for finance. So let's go into that and see what it's all about. The first thing I want to look at this particular workflow is, what are the execution conditions, right? What are the triggers in terms of when is this kicking off? Or more importantly, how do I scope this? Because I don't want this to obviously be applicable to anybody in the organization. Well, it says finance, right? So we want to make sure it's only applicable to finance users. And yes, we have a expression here looking at an attribute called department, making sure that has to be finance, meaning I cannot apply this particular workflow to anybody that's not defined as working in the finance team. Right. Let's take a look at the steps or the tasks that makes up this particular workflow. We have 5 steps here, right? First, we're going to enable the user account. We're going to give him a license, and then we're going to generate that temporary access passcode and send an email, right? So that's something we can do. And once that is done, we'll send him a welcome email where we can, change some stuff here. We can make it look pretty. And we can add different attributes in here as well in the message body. But the beauty here is the request user access package assignment. Now, in our previous demo, the Woodgrove person actually had to manually request access, but we can also automate that process, right? So we can automate the ability to assign an access package as part of this lifecycle workflow. And that's what we've done here, right? So we said there's the access package and the initial policy that obviously supplies all the different conditions that goes along with that access package. But hey, presto, that's all set up. So we're going to scroll down here and we're going to go to users, and we are going to be taking a look at some of our internal users. Remember, Adam is a new person who's joining. So let's go into Adam's account. We're going to change the properties because Adam is definitely working for finance. We can see there at the bottom, right? Just to confirm. And let's go back to our tasks here and see if this workflow has actually been kicked off at some point. So here we go into workflow history. We can see, yes, it's been completed. It did run against Adam Ness's account. And if I go into that for more detail, we can actually see, when it actually completed, and nothing failed. So all good from this perspective on the life cycle. Let's take a look at the user experience, right? So let's put ourselves in the shoes of Adam. So Adam is in a coffee shop. He's sitting on his mobile phone, and he got an email from Miriam. So Miriam is going to be his new boss. So we're basically going to look at Miriam by looking at the email that got sent to him, and we notice here that it says there's a temporary access passcode here for him. So he's going to copy that, right? So he's going to copy the information, and it also there's an instruction of him to go and install the Authenticator app. So he goes and installs the Authenticator app. It's installed, so he opens up the Authenticator app, adds his account because that was all given to him in the email, right? So he goes to work or school account. He's going to sign in this time. He's going to provide his credentials that was given to him. And we're also going to be adding that temporary access passcode, right? So he's going to provide that and click on sign in. And that account will now be added to his account. But before we want to make sure that we also set this user up for passwordless authentication, right? So we're going to click on register. So let's register this authenticator. And again, Face ID, right? To verify that Adam is, in fact, Adam, because remember that temporary access passcode is probably sent to his personal email. So now Adam has got access to that, and he can then make use of that. So Adam also then gets his new work laptop, right? So he gets his laptop, starts it up. By the way, you're about to see the world's fastest Windows boot up ever. But what's pretty cool here, Adam, gets set up his new machine. And let's go through a few of these hoops. So he's going to provide his credentials. And remember that Adam did register for passwordless authentication, so he's not going to provide a password. He's going to use the app instead. So he's going to then open up the Authenticator app. He did get a notification. He's going to click on that, provide the number, the corresponding number, and make sure that is approved and all working. And that should give us now access to proceed. Right, like I said, pretty quick Windows startup. So it's now completing that setup. We just want to quickly set up Windows Hello for Business. So we're going to go and set up our pins. Let's make sure that gets set up quickly. All set and ready to go. Right, so Adam is now into his new machine. So Adam opens up Edge, and Adam is going to go to Outlook and see that, hey, he's got another email from Miriam. This time, Miriam is sharing with him, the ability to, or instruction to go and review this application, as well as some files located in a file share. Pay close attention here to the bottom right-hand corner. This little globe here with a green check mark, that is Global Secure Access already configured on his new device, right? It's there, it is connected, secure tunnel to all my company resources. So Adam goes and clicks on Contoso Financial Dashboard, and hey presto, immediately he has access to that site. No VPN, though this site, as I mentioned, probably running IIS somewhere internal, but it is there, right? Okay, so he goes back and go back to his email, and now he wants to access the file share, right? Simple file share, hosted on premise. He clicks on that, but what's happening now? Well, what's actually happened here is we've wrapped conditional access around the access to our file share. Imagine doing that. Conditional access to an on-prem file share. It's here. So Adam has to, unfortunately, provide multi-factor authentication here and prove he is who we say he is. So once done, hey presto, access granted to the application or the file share in this case. Thank you very much for watching. Stick around for demo number 3. And if you've liked this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll check you in the next one. Cheers. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.